Most of the hot girls would only be out there with the guys, right? Hey, listen, the chemistry was not there, but I really enjoyed spending my time with you, and I think we can be really good friends. And just say that, see what happens. Learn how to approach and how to manage and handle men. Prakhar, I met through gym. Hello guys and welcome to another video, and in this video we're going to talk about how to build a social circle full of attractive women from scratch. Now, whether you are in a city where you've lived for most of your life but you don't have a social circle, or whether you're moving to a new city, a new country, and you're thinking that, hey, I'll have the best social circle of my life, this video is for you. Now guys, even before I start, I want to share with you my own personal story on how I built my own social circle back in Singapore. Now, this was back when I was 17, and when I reached Singapore, I had no prior knowledge of game. And at that time, for the first 3 months, it was really hard for me to build that social circle because my expectation of going there and building a social circle was completely different from the ground reality. And if you're an Indian who's living abroad, you might be able to relate with this, that the culture is so different that you take time to adjust with the culture, to understand it, and then you think it's not possible because the culture is way too different, right? For me, it was when I went to Singapore, I had a roommate who was a Chinese guy, and all we spoke about was, hey, light on, light off, light on, light off. For the first 3 months, I didn't even know his name, and that was all we spoke about. Now, what I imagined my life would be after I went to Singapore was completely different. I thought, I would land there, I would talk to girls in my college, I'd talk to guys in my college, it would just be more open of a place, and I would have the best friends, the people who are doing shit in their lives, and people who are actually actively working on themselves, or people who have some social status in my life. So that's what I thought. I thought I would go there and build a high value social circle from scratch. But the reality was completely different. And what I mean by that was, even the roommates over there, I had like 6 flatmates. Even the flatmates, there was minimal communication between each other, and that was because the culture in Singapore was like that, right? You know how it is in India. If you live with 6 people, you'd know each of them by name, you'd know what their parents' name is, you'd know everything about them. But in Singapore, it was not like that. It was like people really kept to themselves. And it did take some time for me to create a social circle. But once I learned about game, it was very easy. Once I learned about, cold approaching women, going out there and approaching girls, approaching guys, it was fairly simple. And what I see in a lot of people's game, specifically missing in India, is that men in India specifically are doing game just for the woman, right? They're just doing it for the girls, and maybe they're approaching, say, 10 to 15 girls. And these are the guys who will stay stagnant over 2 years or 3 years and who will not have any progress, but they'll not know what they're doing wrong. Now, what I feel is specifically a lot of people in India are just doing game to go out and approach girls. And with that, they're not trying to build their life. They're not trying to build a social circle. They're not trying to build good friendships, good relationships. And all they're focused on is just doing the approach. And guys, if you're doing this, what will happen is you're not building anything in your life apart from your approach identity. So make sure that once you're doing game, you're doing it for building your own life, building your social status, building a social circle as well. And how do you do that is by approaching girls, approaching guys, not discriminating. And specifically in India, you'll see that it's very important for you to learn how to approach and how to manage and handle men, because most of the hot girls would only be out there with the guys, right? They would be with guys surrounding them. And if you really want a really attractive girl in India, specifically you need to learn how to manage the guy situation. So go out there, approach girls, approach guys, do not discriminate. And one thing I want to share with you is write down the target locations, guys. Write down what kind of locations you can target, where you can build a social circle from. Now, for me, back in Singapore, it was the gym. I made a lot of friends from the gym. And even in India, when I returned from Singapore, Prakhar I met through gym. Right? He was in my gym and I was just working out, and I saw this guy and I'm like, hey man, what kind of protein shake do you drink, right? You got some big muscles, right? And he's just talking to me, which brings me to my next topic, master small talk. If you really want to build a high value social circle, it's very important to master the small talk, because in most of the cases, you'll start with small talk. So me and Prakhar, we started with small talk. I was in the gym, just spoke to this guy, and then we had a pattern, right? We're just saying hi to each other. So, which brings me to my next point, create a pattern. So whenever you're, writing down the target locations, maybe it's the gym, maybe it's your university, maybe it's places outside, which is the bar, the club, right? create a pattern with the regulars, create a pattern with people who are coming there regularly. And what I mean by creating a pattern is the first time you want to meet someone, it's much better to build some comfort. And how do you build a comfort? By building a pattern. If he sees you regularly coming to the gym, right? If you're meeting a guy, maybe it's a guy you want to connect with. So you're meeting him regularly in the gym, you're creating a pattern, you're saying hi to him every day. Maybe one day you can just stop him and you can just be like, hey man, listen, I have something cool coming up and I want you to join. Why don't you give me your Instagram and I'll shoot you DM, right? And be very nonchalant while doing this, because if you're doing this with guys, you have to be careful that you don't appear to be overly invested or overly eager to have a plan with them, right? It can seem kind of freaky and the guy can freak out or get creeped out. So it's very important that you play it in a very nonchalant way. You're very nonchalant, you're very cool with it. And this is how I met most of the people in my life. So in Singapore, I had a social circle through my gym, I had a social circle through the bars, through my college, through my uni, right? And that's what you can do too. Start approaching people. And another thing I did was I maximized my results out of online dating as well by building social circles through online dating, by meeting girls, meeting their friends. And this is what I see missing in a lot of guys' game is turning those rejections into social circles. And what I mean by that is when you're into game, when you're getting a lot of girls' numbers, you're going out on a lot of dates, you'll definitely have those moments with a few girls where you think that, okay, you guys, the chemistry is not there, the vibe is not there. Before the girl even calls you out on it, most of the people, what do is they'll cut off with the girl. Maybe they'll say, okay, I want to move on. I'll start, talking to different girls. They focus on different goals, but they're not focusing on what they have in their hands. And what is that is, a key to a new social circle. And what I mean by that is you can just talk to that girl and just tell her, hey, listen, the chemistry was not there, but I really enjoyed spending my time with you. And I think we can be really good friends. And just say that and see what happens. A lot of girls will not say no to that because a lot of girls want to have different multiple guy friends. Some who give them validation, some who take them shopping, some who are orbiters. So don't worry about that, just go out and talk to a girl and say that. Now, by the end of this video, I'll also give you an action plan that you can follow to build your own social circle from scratch. But before that, I also want to give you an advanced tip for creating a social circle. The advanced tip is use girls as currency. And what I mean by that is be the guy who's introducing different men to different girls. Maybe you've been rejected by a girl, in online dating. You went on the first date, things didn't go as planned and you didn't feel a vibe. She didn't feel a vibe. So it's much better to be a friend to her and then introduce her to other guys and use the girls as currency, because that's when a lot of high value men would also want to be around you, right? You'll have a lot of guys who will be buzzing your phone up, who will be texting you all day and night, and a lot of girls as well, because you'll be the guy on top of that social circle. So you'll definitely hold that social value as well. And for this, guys, you have to understand one thing: don't take anything personally. Now I know, one of my friends, one of my really close friends, we start building social circles together, and we had those moments where I'm hooking up with the girls he's hooking up with the girls I'm bringing, and what happened was things got sour because he took things a little bit personally. So make sure whatever girls you're bringing in your social circle, the girls you have been rejected from, you're not emotionally attached to them, because guys, this is one of the major limiting factors for using girls as currencies. When you're emotionally attached to them, you will go through a really rough time. So make sure that you're on top of the social circle. And guys, with that, I also want to say always be closing. And what I mean by that is whenever you're going out, whenever you're talking to someone, always take their Instagram, always take their number and shoot them a DM over there, then and there. Now, a lot of people I see go out in the field, take different people's numbers, take different people's Instagram, but they don't message anyone on their list. So make sure when you're talking to someone, when you're closing someone, close someone with the intent of meeting them afterwards, not just like that. So maybe I'm talking to a guy, I'll be like, hey man, yeah, maybe we can catch up next week and go out, right? If I really don't want to hang out with that guy, why would I take his Instagram? Why would I take his number? So I hope in this video you learn how to build a social circle. And as I said, I'll give you an action path, a mission to do that you can do in this month that will help you build a social circle. And the mission is fairly simple. All you need to do is create your online dating profile. Try to set up 2 to 3 dates. Now, out of those 2 to 3 dates, focus on having one female friend. Match with a girl with the intent of making her your female friend. Now, apart from that, also, wherever you're going, whatever your lifestyle is like, maybe you're going to the gym, maybe you're doing some mixed martial arts, maybe you're going to your college, maybe you're going to your university, maybe you're going to bars, maybe you're going to clubs. Select one guy who you really would want to connect with and then execute that. Go out there, talk to him, have a small talk, set a pattern, and go in for the close. So I hope in this video you learn about key things that are required to create a social circle, and I want you to get out there and get started.